Hello everyone, Shroomraver here, and welcome back to Let's Make a Mini. This is the series where I'll be taking some of our favourite characters from the world of TV, movies, video games, comics, all that good stuff, and making them as playable TTRPG or D&D minifigures right here on Hero Forge. Yes, indeed. Now, today is one that I am really very excited for, because even since the last video I did, more updates have come to Hero Forge which we are going to be able to use. Now, one I want to go into very quickly is one that we're actually not going to use here, but it's one that I mentioned like way back in the very first video when we did Kratos. I mentioned the inability to put in like tattoos and stuff like that. Well, very quickly, if we go on to colour here, you'll see in beta there is this new option here called decals. And that's exactly what I was mentioning before. You can get all these different skin patterns on the face and the body, and also very interestingly toned hairstyles, which I think is a great addition. Really fun to play around with. I thought I'd mention that very briefly because it's something that I talked about before, but that is not what we're going to be doing today, because today we're going to be exploring something else. If we click on body right here, just very quickly, you'll see you can select all the different bodies, but what's this down the bottom? We have different options for multiple sets of arms. This is huge. I am a massive fan that this is in now. Multiple sets of arms opens up so many more options that we can mess around with, especially with the extra addition of those prosthetic limbs. I think this is a fantastic addition. I'm really excited to play around with it, and how better to start than by creating, from Star Wars, General Grievous. A really cool character. In terms of the major parts of the body, there's not a whole lot we need to do with him. But I think there's no better way than to introduce multiple sets of arms than to make this awesome character. So without further ado, let's make a mini. So to start with, we're going to choose our race, and excuse me, a little bit bunged up, but there is a very obvious choice here for the race we're going to be using. Scrolling all the way down, way down. It's around here somewhere, I promise you. Past all this stuff, and oh, hello, we've got the robot. That's what we're going to be using, because General Grievous is a cyborg, a robot, anything like that, he is it. So that's what we're going to be doing. Before I forget, the one thing I want to do, obviously the expressions are now in pose, and we want to make him, well, not happy. Let's put it that way. The snarl is going to be quite pronounced. We want to make that as full as well. So he's an angry boy, basically. That's what we're doing. So we've given him his nice facial expression. That's all very well and good. Now, in terms of this character, there are quite a few things we want to do with the body, actually, which is quite interesting and rare in terms of this. The first thing we want to do is actually, weirdly enough, give him actual eyeballs. We don't want the robotic eyes, we want the regular eyes because we can mess around with them a bit more, and give him something quite accurate to what his eyes actually look like in the movie. I'm going with the live action version as much as possible. Excuse me. So that's pretty much that. Obviously, we don't need to change the face, we don't need to change the hair, ears, beard, anything like that, because he doesn't have those. So that's fine, there's not much we need to do there now. One thing we do want to do is add in some horns, and I know this sounds weird, because he doesn't have horns. What he does have is something like at the side of his face, these kind of almost like fins. Now, we can't get fins, really. I mean, the best option we can get for the side of the face is the snake hood, and that's not going to do. Not at all. Stuff like this, again, really, is not what we're after. Like, on body, on extras, there are potential things, but really that's not what we're looking for at all either. So we're going to go back to horns and see what we can find. Realistically, we want something around here. Now there are stuff like this, these side fins, but again, it's not really what we're after. They're sort of more facing backwards. Excuse me. So what we're going to do is we're going to add these tech horns. Now, I know this looks very strange because this is not what Grievous has, but we're going to do something that we don't normally do and mess with the pose a little early. So if we go into advanced, we can change the position of the horns quite dramatically. And that is what we're actually going to try and do by twisting them around and sort of tilting them as much as we can. If we then bend them in more to the body, and then what we have are almost like these kind of side fins. You know, we can twist them around a bit, trying to get sort of the best look for them. There's a lot of trial and error that happens with this. This is actually not bad because it kind of has things going down the side as well. Especially if we kind of tilt them. If we tilt them, that's a bit too much we don't really want. That's not too bad. When it comes to this kind of thing, there's a lot of trial and error, which makes it look a bit weird to start with, but realistically, it's going to look better in the end. So I think that's not bad. He's kind of got these things coming down the sides of his jawline and the things at the top, and I think that's probably about as good as we're going to get for his kind of side horns. Now, another thing I'm going to do quite early on, and this is going to look a bit weird, I'm going to just remove all the clothing that he has on. Because he is a cyborg, he doesn't actually wear any clothes. There is something we're going to do that's a little bit different. But we need to mess around with his dimensions quite significantly. So we're going to go into measurement right here, because there's a lot we need to do. First things first, his posture is awful, so we're going to make that as bad as we can. His build on the top, he is quite a top-heavy character, so we're going to take that up as well. The weight is not too much, we're going to take that down. And now we want to look into this kind of area. The waist, for example, that's going to be as narrow as possible, because he does kind of narrow towards the waist and then bulk out a bit more at the thigh. So that's what we're going to do with it. We don't really need to change the booty very much. Everything else is pretty much as it should be. I'm going to take his build up even more. That's fine. So now we've got much more of his body type. As I say, it narrows towards the waist quite a lot. And that's pretty much what we need to do with the body. The only thing we really want to change is the feet, because he does have those mechanical clawed feet. Now, we can't do that, but what we can do is make something as similar as possible. It's going to look a little goofy, but we're going to give it a go as we get more into the fun stuff, the gear and the colours and the clothing and stuff like this. So the only clothing we're actually going to add is something on the feet. Now, as I say, we don't have the option of going with actual like mechanical claws. The next best thing we can do really is right down the bottom here are the lizard feet. And again, it looks goofy, but he does give us sort of the claw effect, and we are going to run with it just for now. Other than that, the only item of clothing he wears is a cloak, but we're going to add that in at the end, because the way the pose is going to go, and with the arms, there is going to be a bit of clipping, which we're going to have to mess around with the cloak. So we're going to add that in at the end. For now, we can start getting onto the arms as well. So we need to go to here, and what do you know, we've got multiple sets of arms. Isn't that great? Now, the last thing we want to do is make these prosthetic. If we go with, as I say, these clawed robotic hands, because he does have claws more than actual hands. Now, as you can see, he's got more of claws than fingers, so we're going to add that onto all sides, and that's lovely. So with that done, we can move on to a little bit of colour. And realistically, again, he's kind of silvery white and black. I've got my reference picture up here. Most of the bodywork is silver, and there are bits of like the thigh and the midriff and the feet, parts of the arms as well, that are black. So if I can just go into pose here, As I say, that's going to open him up a little bit more like we've done before. So let's get some colours sorted. We're going to build this from the bottom up, or rather, you know, from scratch. So let's go into paint. I want to get these eyes sorted first, and he has these very unhealthy, sickly looking yellow eyes. So we're going to do that. We're going to put these in. And if we zoom in, you'll see that we can actually colour around the eyes, which I would love to do. So if we go onto here, for example, as you can see around the eyes, we've got that bit. That's going to be really nice, and what I want to do very quickly is do a little bit more customization. So if I grab this, for example, and then go into the yellow of the eye, I can make even more of it red. So let's try... Oh no, that's not good. Let's try this one instead. And the low one as well. That's giving him this idea of quite unhealthy eyes, which I like. So now, looking at it, we really want to mess with just two kinds of metal for the body. So I think that we'll get the black in first. Now, looking at him, the bits you're looking at that are black are, well, the midriff for one thing. Bits of the neck and shoulder. Parts of the arm. So we'll just do like the attaching bits. We'll make all the attaching bits black. This takes a little bit of time, but it's worth it in the end. So these parts will be black. And then much of the rest is going to be silver. There's a few more bits of black we need to add. I'm going to see if there's any good more attaching bits that we can colour black on the arm. Stuff like this might be good. Perhaps this area. And we'll see if that's changed anything there. That's pretty good. I'm okay with that. And then sort of these joint areas as well, I would like to make black too. Perhaps that area of the palm? That's possibly quite good. And that's about as much as we need black. I'm going to make these... No, I'm going to make those shoulder areas not black, but the joints... I think that ball joint could do with being black. That looks okay. The last bit to be black is going to be the feet, and it's going to be the entire foot. As I say, that kind of looks a little goofy, but it's the closest we're going to get to those clawed mechanical feet, and in the end it should work out. Yeah, that is as close as I think we'll get to it. Yeah. Okay, so now what we need is a sort of dirty white metal, and what I'm going to do is choose something like this. Now that's not entirely what we want, but because it's this burnished bronze, it's already got a kind of dirty overlook. So actually the entire rest of his body is going to be this colour. Which may seem like a lot, but it'll be worth it in the end. Because as I say, we're going to just change this to more of a white. The reason I've gone with it for this particular one is simply because it's got a slight more metal look, and obviously he's made of metal. Now these bits are a bit finicky because you've got to do everything individually, which is mildly irritating, but like I say, it will be worth it in the end. And I'm doing this all now because then once I go into the colour editor, I'll be able to edit everything at once, which is what we want. So last little bits of the hands. Again, this is taking a little bit of time. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Have I missed anything? Oh, best believe I have. This. I'm going to make those bits that colour as well, actually, just for now. And then the legs. We've got a little joint there that I've missed, I think. Yep. And the back of the feet, we will make this colour as well. Just for a little bit of variation on the foot, not too much, we don't want there to be too much variation. Let me zoom in and see if I've missed anything. Because I say, there are a lot of parts here that need to be coloured. Like, for example, that under there, which I missed. But I think we've got everything. I think there might be a little bit in there. Yeah, there's a little bit in there that I missed. I think aside from that, we've got everything. Ooh, no, we have not. Little joint there. Nearly missed it. Close one. But we got it. We got it in the end. And now we can go into the colour mixer and start editing this thing. So the mid colour is the main, and that's what we want to really change. And we want to take that up to sort of a whitish grey, and that already, as you can see, is much better. It's much more like him. The low colour, I think we want to take... Let's see if that really doesn't really change much. So let's just leave that as is. The high colour we can possibly do, and just make it a little bit greyer. And that is going to be his colour scheme. Much done. Very nice indeed. And now, now we can start working on making him even more like Grievous. What I want to do is give him his weapons. Of course, that's what's going to make him who he is. We all know the weapons he has. He steals the lightsabers from other Jedi. So the question is, what weapon or gear item do we give him that's going to resemble most a lightsaber? If we go into gear in the hands and we go to blunt objects, as you can see as we scroll down, we actually have the perfect option, which is this thing called the Eskrima stick, and it's like this kind of baton, but as you can see, it's basically a lightsaber, which is awesome. So we scroll down again for the other set of arms, and what do you know, he's got 4 lightsabers. Now we can add spell effects, but realistically I don't think there's a... Ooh, lightning. Oh, that's cool. Ooh, that's new. I didn't know that was there. That's very interesting. I'm going to have to look into that for some other characters. Hoo-hoo, fun times. But we're not going to add that. We're going to make sure it looks most like a lightsaber through the colour alone. And we can do that. So let's look into that next. So here we go. Bit of colour. We go into paints and we go into the gem option. We have this emerald. Now, if I'm not mistaken, looking at him, yeah, so it's top left, bottom right is green. We add the green lightsaberiness in there, and then we'll try sapphire for the other one, blue and blue. Perfect. And when we go into metal, we will be able to just do a little bit of customization here. Again, not much we really need to do here. I'm just going to throw on some random colours. So we go here, let's make that, 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 and that. Let's make one this kind of... maybe not. Maybe this colour. That's not ideal, but we can put it onto this one instead. Again, this is very much sort of personal preference when it comes to the coloration on the lightsaber hilts. There's not really a lot we need to do, but we'll do that. So there we go. Those are his lightsabers done. And that's pretty much fine. So what we can do now, I'm going to add the base in. Not really much we need to do here. I'm just going to give him this metallic base, which is fine. Let's give it the colouring. Where's my metal? We'll go with the chrome. The base obviously needs to be that black primer. Now in terms of items around the base, let's have a look and see what we can get here. Not really a whole huge amount we need to add. If any character wasn't going to have a base item, it would probably be General Grievous. Simply because there's just not much here that suits. I mean, looking down the list, really nothing suiting. I mean, yeah, we could have like these kind of cargo crates that we had before, but we used them last time. I'd quite like to use something a bit different. I mean, I guess we could have stuff like this, the energy cell instead. I guess that would be fine. In fact, I guess we could probably have a couple of those. Just a couple of energy cells instead, and maybe just one cargo crate. I mean, let's pop in the large cargo crate. Why not? We didn't use that last time. I'm kind of spitballing these again. There's not really much we need here. So let's give these a little bit of colour. Why the heck not? We'll get some metal in here. Let's call this grey. Like I say, not much we need to do. Add a bit onto the base. Very nice. This will make just an emerald inlay. Why not? And we'll make this portion black. Sure. Like I say, this is pretty much just sort of spitballing around. It's just there for the look. We don't really need this per se. This is actually quite a good coloration for what we're looking for. We'll make the lining part black. Very nice. And let's add a little bit of chrome on there for these parts. Like I say, we don't really need that. It's just there for a bit of fun, a little bit of aesthetics. So now let's get him posed up. In fact, first thing we want to do very quickly before I forget, this is where I will just add that that cloak. We're just going to pop a cloak on him. We'll give him some colour. There's not actually all that much. We don't need to do any customization here. You know, his cloak is this kind of blue on the outside, and it's a dark red on the inside. Not a lot we need to do. I'm going to make that red a little bit darker, just because I can. Oh, hang on. Control Z. I just want to make it darker in general. General, because he's General Grievous. And there we go. That's him pretty much done. I'll just pump it down to there. That's fine. So now we're going to get the posing done. So there is a pose I have in mind. We want to make him as hunched as we possibly can, is the thing here. So this is probably the one we're going... no, that's not what I'm after. There is one that I'm feeling. It's whether I can find it or not. It's not that one. Which one is it? There's definitely one I was like actually looking at. Is it this one? No, it's not that one. It's this one, I think. Yeah, that's exactly it. That, I think, is exactly the one I'm looking for. This kind of pose. Now, very quickly, I'm going to switch around some items. I want this one at the back. Again, this is all just personal preference. I want to move it to there, I want to move it a little bit forwards, and I want to twist it around so it's looking like this. And this one can probably just go next to it, really. No, we're probably going to have to move that forwards. We'll move it to the front. Just to here. Much better. So, with that done, now let's do this. So, his torso, we actually want to twist it around to here so that he's facing more forwards. But most importantly, we want to tilt him. We don't want to bend too much. We do want to get him tilting forwards. Like I say, he has horrible posture. The head we want to be moving up though, so let's twist it round. We bend it to this direction, we twist it round a bit more, we bend it a little bit more again, and then if we tilt it upwards, we do want him just to, let's see, bend it a little bit more this way. And maybe just tilt it down just a touch. That's pretty good. So we've got his kind of hunched look, kind of skeletal figure, which is nice. And now we need to mess with the arms. So let's see. That's that one. Okay. So we need his top two arms to be up quite high, obviously. Now this section, this is the main arm, so it controls both to an extent. So if we just twist it around like this, looking at the posed picture I've got, we can sort of tilt it up. A little bit of twist at the elbow, and that's not bad. We'll probably mess with his wrist a little bit, because I want that one sort of like this. Very good. Let's have a look at this arm now. We kind of bend that one forward, we'll twist it up a little and then tilt it down. And then if we move the wrist around and bend it slightly, yeah, that's not bad. So that's now coming down. I think I just want to twist it around just a little bit more to this direction and maybe bend it. There we go. It doesn't matter if his wrist is a little bit sort of weird looking in the tilt, because he is a robot and he does have a lot of movement in those wrists. You see that scene where he's like got all of them spinning around at once. He has a lot of movement in his wrists and in his joints and limbs, so we can get away with that. And now we need to kind of mirror that across the way. So let's bend this up as well, kind of tilt it around. Let's get that top one, we need to bend upwards as well. The elbow we will twist that way. Let's get it tilted there. Okay, how's that looking? It's not looking bad. No, we don't want that. We do want that. We can get the wrist movement as well, because we want it to kind of match but not entirely. So if we twist that to here and then kind of tilt it upwards, I guess. A little bit this, and to be there. It's not too bad. It's not ideal, like it's not ideally what I'd want. It doesn't quite look right. There's something about it that isn't quite sitting with me. And I'm not sure what it is. It might be that we've just messed up the bend on this a little bit and tilting it. Yeah, there's a lot of trial and error going on here, especially with this kind of fine-tuning movement. But we should be able to get it just how we want. it might be a case of messing with the, because it just looks a bit odd. There's something about it that isn't sitting. That's a bit better. Maybe if we then sort of tilt it back a bit and try and get the look with the wrist instead. That's better. Bend it a little bit this way. Much, much better. Cool, okay, I realise that took a little bit of a while, but we wanted to get it right, and now we can mess with this one. The elbow will kind of do that. We'll tilt him kind of this way, bend it down. And then mess with the wrist. We'll twist it like this and bend it that way, which are kind of try to tilt in what we want. We want it bent. And we do just want to kind of take it back a little bit, I think. Bend is fine, or rather the twist is fine, that's decent, and then if we kind of just tilt it this way, a little bit more twist at the elbow, and he's looking okay. We don't actually need to mess too much with the clipping of the cloak either. And looking at that, that is pretty much going to be General Grievous finished. We had a lot of fine tuning going on with the arms there. That is the one downside of the forearms. If you want something specific, you've got to really mess around with it to make sure it looks exactly how you want. But I think we've pretty much got there. The one thing I do want to see is if I can mess with these and make them a bit brighter. And I can, that's what I want to do. Make these a little brighter. That will do nicely. I'm actually going to make this inside bit blue instead. Perfect. So, that is going to be General Grievous finally completed. So let's do a little bit of a walk around of him. The main thing obviously being the forearms, everything else is just for show. We've got the kind of colour scheme, as I say, the feet are a bit goofy, but there's nothing we can really do about that. We've got the black parts of his body where we need them, everything else this kind of white chrome. The lightsabers are in, that's very nice. We've got his forearms, which is the most important part. The cloak again, just for show. No real clothes apart from those feet, again, like I say, a bit goofy, but nothing really we can do. Moving around to the end, his other lightsabers, and he's got that kind of hunched pose, really hunched over as much as we can to show how bad his posture is. But that is going to wrap things up from us doing General Grievous, so thank you all very much for watching. I do hope you've enjoyed. Bit of a longer video today, but again, we had a lot of fine tuning going on with the arms. As you know, I'm making these characters on Hero Forge. You can find links to Hero Forge in the description. You'll also notice it at the bottom right of your screen. It is my go-to site for making all of my minis for Dungeons and Dragons and TTRPGs. It's really user-friendly. They're constantly updating it with new stuff. I absolutely love it, and I highly recommend you go and check out Hero Forge by clicking the link in the description, which is where you'll also find a link to the series that inspired me to do this one, over on Tulok the Barbarian's channel, that being building character. Remember, of course, if there are any characters you want to see me create right here, put them down in the comment section below or hit me up on Twitter. You can always catch me there. I've got both of my Twitter links also in the description of this video. But I'm going to get out of here. I ran on far too long, so my final thank you to you all for watching. And I guess with that, I'll see you next time. Laters.